Alright, good evening everyone. Hope everyone has had a nice start to the week and ready for some DevOps and chill time. So we're going back to our .NET application that we were working on, that we were trying to get authentication running on previously. So we had some issues with getting it connected to the database, and then we spun up a database in Azure. Wasn't quite working, so I think we should start with that. Just try and work through the issues as they come up and see if we can kind of detangle that and get working on that. So cool, alrighty. So let's first things first. I think we want to make sure we clear off these database migrations. So let's just how's the proper way? We're going to look for some more recent documents, managing migrations. This might be it. But documentation wise, so okay, let's try dash list, not just list. All right. It helps if I'm in the correct directory. Again, whoop, I'm having all the typos tonight. Let's get them out of the way early, and then we can get on to things. Okay, it doesn't like something with .NET EF. Do we not have the tool installed? We should definitely have the tool installed, but oh, excuse me. Alright. We are running a container. I would thought I would have had the tool installed locally, but maybe that's got reset, so there's one we want. Install the tool globally. And I'm saying it's already installed. See if there's any updates. Maybe I haven't got something added in to the path. Alright, let's see if I can remove it and reinstall it, because I think there's a path issue here. Okay, so it's uninstalled. Alright. Okay, reinstall it. There we go. So it wasn't added into the path. So let's add a tool to the path. And now if we do .NET EF, we have the correct thing. Alright. So now we should be able to see a list of migrations. Now it may fail here because we are not logged into the Azure CLI yet. So we'll give this a second just to see if it fails, and then we'll log into the Azure CLI. Close that. Alright. Yep, error occurred. So that's fine. So let's Let's do an easy login. And I just logged into the wrong one, so let's try that again. This time if we log into the correct account. It's clearly Monday. I'm getting all my mistakes out nice and early, and then we can get into things after that. And 2FA on my account. Alright, that looks better. Okay. So, now let's try that migration list again and see if we are able to connect to the database. Now, it may not work because I think I've changed the database. I think I was doing some testing previously. Yep, I think I've changed the name of the database, so let's have a look. So let's go put that there. So that's the server. Oh, it's the DB itself, and then the initial catalog. So we'll just log in. Wait for the authentication to happen. The database is not currently available. Let's have a look. Don't believe I had stopped it. So it does auto pause when not being used, just to kind of saves me some of the cost here. So waking it up. There we go. Notification. Database is resuming. So it may just take a minute for the database to actually kick back in. Which is fine, because we want it to do that whole thing where it shuts down when not in use, for at least this particular use case. Status is still resuming. Alright. No, okay. I'm just being impatient. Status is now online. And then we've got the IPs from my home machine changes all the time, so I need to set up that firewall. There we go. Now we can continue. And okay, and we don't have any tables in here. And we'll look at, what have I called? The initial catalog is which test DB. And we're using the Azure Active Directory, we're doing encryption. Okay. Hey Mia, how you going? Yeah, SQLDB has not had coffee yet. And at 8 o'clock at night I maybe feel like I need coffee as well tonight. Been one of those days. So it's a bit of a grind. And just haven't had my head switched on. Typical Monday. Alright. Still getting some issues with database, but also to make sure that we have this correctly updated in both the configuration files. Let's try that. So we want to get this connected. We want to get a successful connection here. That's going to help us the most. So I think this is a good example also of when you're in a position where your application's a bit broken, things have happened, but you don't want to throw it away. You want to try and actually work out, how do I recover from this state where the application is? Alright. Alright, so... Alright, I think what we're going to do here in this case is we're going to clean the database and get rid of these migrations as well. So let's do... so we want to remove that migration. And how do we do that? So we do a .NET. So yeah, we want to keep all of our code. We don't want to throw any code away, but we do want to clear the database infrastructure. At least the database stuff, not the database server. And then go with that one. So I think that's extending. Managing migrations, here we go. So it's .NET EF. Alright, so we have a network error, but that's fine. We're going to leave that. We're going to delete the migrations directory here. Get rid of that. And we're going to go into here and we're going to delete all the rows within this table. So let's open, let's go new query. Okay, we're just going to drop table. Alright, let's go drop that table. So now we have effectively a clean database. Alright. Now what we want to do is we want to, so we install the F4. We've done that. Now what we want to do is we want to actually, so we've got the Entity Framework core. So let's make sure we've got the right tooling in place at the moment. Okay, so that's fine. Now we want to run and add initial. So this should get our initial migration set up here, which should do our identity. Okay. So that should have then, did that create a migrations folder? Yeah, just hasn't reflected. Hasn't reflected in Visual Studio. Let's just do a refresh. All right. So I have our migrations here, and so it's going to create a table called ASP.NET Roles. Create a table called ASP.NET Users. Create a table called ASP.NET Role Claims, ASP.NET User Claims, ASP.NET User Logins, User Roles, Tokens, and then create a bunch of indexes. Okay, so that's fine. So now we should just be able to do a .NET inf database. Now this will be the check. It's from in the wrong directory. Can we connect to the database? So build succeeded, so we don't have any code compile errors. No, it didn't like that. Server is not accessible. Okay. So this is the issue we were running into the other day. I'm just going to just compare the two again. We've got two config files here. We should make sure these are saying the same thing. Because if they're not, there could be differences there. No, they are saying the same thing. And let's check. Let's check the configuration. How am I? Make sure that we're calling the correct one there. I think that changed something. Let's just check that, because that did make me save the program CS file. Whether or not there was a typo in the connection string here. Thinking about it. No. Network or instance specific code connection. Servers not found are not accessible. Verify the instance name is correct. And we'll just check the initial catalog. It's Twitch app test DB, Twitch app test DB. Okay, we know my Azure account has access. That's fine. So, what's going on? Yeah, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to jump out of my dev container here. So, yeah, jump out of my dev container. I wonder if the dev container is causing some problems. Alright, it's getting all sorts of, all my add-ins jumping up and down on me. Alright, and I realize my terminal is busted. Let's quickly fix my terminal. We want this in terminal. What is it? I'm using PowerShell. What is that? Oh, my PowerShell is system here. I'm trying to remember what the font is named. What was the font name that I was using? I think it was this one. There we go. So I clearly saved that on previous. I was using the insider version of Visual Studio Code last time. That was what was happening. Alright. So. Let's do a login. So I'm now working off my base machine. So just going to verify that it builds off my base machine and restores everything it needs to restore. I mostly need to install into Framework again because I am running off the base machine here. Alright, it's installed. This should be there, that should be fine. So I should just now need to do this database update. Not copy. Alright, see if that makes any difference to things. I'm still getting an error on accessing the database. Let's remove the port. See if the port's causing us any issues. Ah, there we go. So that worked. But what I want to do now is reopen this in the container. So I want to actually verify, is this a problem working inside the container, or is this a problem specifically with those port changes that I just did there. Now I'll mostly need to reinstall the tool and put it into the path. No, it's all good. Didn't actually remove it, so alright. I did remove it from the path. It just need to save that. Reinstall the tool. Should put that down as a note actually to myself that I want to install this tool as part of the container initiation. So that when every time the container initializes, then it gets those tools, installs them, and then adds them to the path. Okay. So it looks like this is an issue with connecting. Oh wait a minute. Before we jump to too many conclusions, let's make sure I'm logged in again. Okay. Oop, I just did that command. I'm already logged in. I don't need to log in again. Hopefully that didn't just log me out. It would be really annoying. Right. Just go and log in again just to make sure that that second login didn't break something. Okay, it looks like it is having some trouble connecting to the database using the Azure CLI and from inside the container. Alright, so I'm going to default this to working local for the moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some to-do lists. Okay. I don't want you to repeat that GitHub Copilot, that's pretty useful. Cool, alright. I'm going to put those in there so that I don't forget them, because I think those are things that I should find answers to. Because again, I like working in containers, I like having all the tools pre-installed, so I don't like it when things are breaking for no apparent reason. Alright. So let's just run this again. Okay. Oops, got rid of that one. Okay, let's just make sure I can connect to the container again. Or to the, not to connect to the database again. So this should be fine and say no updates needed. No updates, that's fine. Cool. Alrighty, so all the problems we had last week, the week before, 2 weeks, was due to being in the container. That's good to know. So now if we go have a look at the database, that's the app, database, log in. You can see here's all the ASP.NET roles and user information. Great, alrighty. Good. So we got database going. Where to next? Now I was following some documentation that was added recently. Ooh. Of course, I can't find it. How can I? Is it this one? Ah, this looks familiar. Alright, I think this is the right one. So just so that if anyone's interested, I'll stick this into the chat. So this is the documentation I've been following so far. Right, so we have set up our initial migration. Alright. So this is anti-forgery tokens. Right, so it's saying inside the pages and the underscore host, we should add, so we should inject, so it's namespace, so inject .sp net core and forgery. There you go, that's all we want. Okay, cool. So we're injecting that, and then inside the code, and CSHTML file. Actually, do I need to get the code behind file dono? If we do it there, that's not going to work. How do I do that in... So I need to add the .cs file. It's just... I can't do it just in this file, I've just got to do it this way. Yeah, so in Blazor... So in the .razor files, you do this @ symbol in code. So we go bar tokens state. That was it. Get the store and request token. Okay. And then we will need to register that within the program.cs file. Cool. Alright, so we add scope, add that token provider. Right, so that should give us the XSRF token. Okay, and then we want to add the shared folder. Let's add a new file, and we'll call this redirect to login. Alright. Object navigation manager, and then let's put the, so this is what I meant before with the way that Blazor does code component. It's at code protected. Yeah. And then we go navigation. Except for mine called mine navigation manager, so we'll do that just so they have different names. Okay, so again we're just going with alright. And we want true to this. Okay. Now, something I might do here is just I might need Omni Sharp. I think Omni Sharp is having some issues. I just want to make sure it's selected the right project, because we're not getting the IntelliSense where it's popping up and showing us these things. Alright. So now this is giving me an issue. It's on. Alright. says we should add a login display component. Yep. Okay. I'm just going to grab this code and use it as is. Now it doesn't like that. Now this all could be due to no, it doesn't have a namespace. I was thinking maybe it's missing a namespace. Doesn't like the token provider here either. Have I missed something? Okay. Yes, I think I have missed something. Let's have a quick look over this section. I'll add both of these in. No, it doesn't like that one. Did I miss scaffolding something? Or is this again just older information? Doesn't like the token provider. Now, this token provider actually meant to be a okay. I think the token provider here is actually a class. That's why it doesn't like token provider. So let's go and we add a token provider.cs. Put that in there. Okay. The now token provider is registered here. Okay, file establishes token after adding it to the initial application state and token class provider classes. So it reckons we should also have an initial application state. Okay. And that should contain that. Alright, so new token is equal to new application initial state. Okay. Let's add the using here. Authentication. Yep. Token AC. get those two tokens. And it says here the components. She seems helpful, but we'll see what it does if we can get this working. Don't know if I'm going down a bit of a rabbit hole here. So it's wanting. Okay, so it's wanting this token to be added to here. So let's add that both here. Okay. Let's go back to here. So where were we? So now it wants me to have these two. Now I mostly need to install this. See if that's a package that I can add. Yep, that's opened up as a package. This is saying an unnecessary using directive. That's fine. We'll fix that in a minute. And then we'll grab builder services here. Right, so that opens the OpenID Connect options. Okay, we've got a token provider. So let's say that should go below there. No, we don't have to worry about that at the moment. It's fine. Okay, and then we go to app.razor and we inject token provider. State. Okay. First async, and then we will pull through the token provider. This token, and then the refresh token. Oop, not the reference. the refresh token the same. Alrighty. I think this is when we pass on, so we get an access token, pass it on and do that. That's fine. Alright, so that should be that. And then now we want to do the layout and authentication flow changes. So we've done the redirect. So where did I put that? It's in shared pages, shared here. That's the login display. That's the redirect to. So it's the login display. And then in the main layout, in the top row div element, I think it wants us to replace that one and put it all. Okay, let's just use it to replace that. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that should be that. Now let's go see how much of a mess I've just made. Alright, so we've got a couple of warnings. So program. I think it's telling me that I've used that twice. Okay, good, good. And where's the last issue? Null reference inside login display dot razor. That help? Do I just, when in doubt, add more question marks. So this is the null operator, so we're checking to see if there's nulls effectively. Build. Alright. Where's the warnings? Let's see what happens if I run this locally. Alrighty. Oops, I don't want to do that. Let's copy that. Burp. Exception. Authorization requires a cascading parameter of task authentication state. Okay, so we have missed something. I think it is going to be around, not the application, not the main layout. So there's a base level here. It is the so inside the application here. Okay. Interesting that it didn't add that for me. So this is custom layout with app styles, not really. Not really doing that. Okay, so let's go have a look there. So we want cascading. Alright, so we need to add a cascading authentication. The custom authentication state provider. Don't really want to do that. So let's authorize views, but here we go. This is what we want. So we want to put in a cascading authentication state here. So this is around the router, and then we have the router there. All right, so let's retry that now with that cascading auth state around the application and see where that goes. Slightly better. We've lost a whole heap of stuff, but okay. So we have our login page and we have our register page. Now we don't actually want to store any of this stuff ourselves. We don't want to maintain that. At the moment, we just want to use an external service. I don't think we set up. Did we set up to use? Actually, easiest way to try this is let's try and register. So let's use my Gmail account, and it just generated me a random strong password. So let's try hit register. Let's see what happens. Not expecting this to work, but it did. There we go. Alrighty, follow me surprise. So we created that there. We should have sent a. No, app does not currently have a real email sender, so that's fine. But now if we say log in, and Google's handily saved the information there, and it says login attempt invalid. No, I didn't like the login. Interesting. Did it not save the data? Let's go have a quick look. So it should be the users here. No, did not. No user logins there. That's right. What about users? Alright, there is a user. And then no, they detached the password. So, why? That's interesting. Why doesn't that work? So we've got access tokens there. Okay, I know why it maybe didn't work. So I think by default it asks for an email confirmation. Now we haven't got an email set up. So if we then go and we do an update, how do I do that? Because I want to modify that row. I'm trying to remember my SQL now. So we update, and so ASP.NET users where user dot on set so set email confirm Alright. No. Alright, I think that did it. So let's just go and check. There we go. Email confirmed is true. Now let's attempt to log in. There we go. And we've logged in. There we go. Okay, cool. Now, I still have a bit of an issue. I've still broken something to do with the way that's rendering. Maybe something to do with that. Alright. Let's rerun it. Okay, it's rerunning. Nope. Still something broken there. Should be fine. What have I broken? You've certainly broken something, haven't I? Let's go. So let's have a look. Main layout. No, it shouldn't have broken anything in there. So this is a login display. Just want to build just to clean up anything. Alright, let's where's the developer tools in here? More tools. Developer tools. See if it's like throwing some kind of weird error. No. So missing like the whole sidebar. You're missing like the whole nav menu. I wonder if it's something to do with this. Gonna remove that. Alright, let's try that again. I'm still missing something there. Oops. See if that's a common. Apparently removes the this razor menu CSS. Well, rather than remove it, let's rename it. Clean build, and now try run. Okay, so it's back, but we've lost some things. So let's rename that now. This is good. This could have just been as good. I needed to do the clean. There we go. I think it just needs to do the clean. Alright. Cool. So that's one. So currently I'm logged in. If I hit log out fails. Contains authorization metal data, but where it's not about supports authorization. So I'm maybe missing that in there. Alright. Yeah, I think I am missing. I think let's add it. Huh? Nope, I don't think. Let me just do that. Alright. Okay, so I put that in the wrong place, I think is what that's telling me. I think that's telling me to use, put it here. Clear, oops, not clear, clean. Right. And let's rerun. Okay. Let's clear all that out. Refresh. There we go. Log out, and I get a page isn't working. 400. The question, I guess, is also, did I scaffold the logout? I think this is telling me I did not. Okay, I don't think I scaffolded the logout. Can I do this after the fact? So let's try this. I might need to install. Let's try this. Nope, I need to install the tool. That's all good. Install the tool. Okay, tool's installed. Verify. Okay. So I just need to should just need this to do the files, shouldn't I? Well, actually, what we'll do before they do that, let's do a git add. Alright, just in case we break it and we want a point we can roll back to, let's do that. So I'm going to try and regenerate the files. So I want to add in the account.logout. Alright. Did that. I think it should. Looks like just added it. It's clean. Build. And run. Nope, still give me a 400 error on the logout. What's going on? Alright, let's go have a look at the login display. And then you there's those two. So yes, we call the login display here. Identity account logout. Identity pages account. Should be able to call logout here. Why is logout not functioning? That's going to take me to DevOps, that's an index, so that's fine. Okay, cool, that's interesting. That worked, but the other one didn't. Okay. That was this. I wonder what is the link it sends. Alright, so let's log in again. Oops, no, nothing at that address. Alright, so I'm in the index. In the manage. No, I can't see it. So obviously this is default. That's cool. Alright. But I want to do the logout. Let's go back to our display element here. So now it's saying form action, identity account, logout, and then return URL. I wonder if we remove this return URL. Actually, you know, we can test that. So identity account, we just put logout here. And then, okay, maybe that'll work. Alright. So we're still logged in. So when I hit log out, no. Page isn't working. 400. But if it goes with it like that, then it works. Okay, let's ask. So let's see. I don't want that because it's something from calling it from the component. I wonder. Wonder if we use the navigation manager here to send us to that page. Wonder what the difference is there, because we're doing post, so submitting it as a form action. So let's just go to the log out again. That's what that's doing. So let me see if I can split the screen here on this. So doing a form. I wonder, can I, let's just comment this one out. Okay. Alright. Rebuild. Run. Alright, now it's showing up as button. I don't think we did anything. Let's try and do this. New area is that. Yeah. doesn't like that. Because we're not in a page. It doesn't know. Not sure that's gonna like it much either. Well, how about we just set return URL to that? Okay, and we're going again. No, didn't like that one either. Okay. Cool. All right. Okay. So this is 2021. It needs to add ignore anti-forgery token. That doesn't seem good. I'm not sure I want to do that. Let's give it a try. Nope, doesn't like that attribute. Okay. Okay, not actually what we were doing. Alright, back to the documentation. So what we're going to do, so it's the authentication state provider. What we're going to try and find out is how do we call for a logout. So this is all checking for roles and checking for all that kind of stuff. Checking for authorizations. Did I miss it? So at the top. So that's WebAssembly. Don't want WebAssembly. Maybe we inject the authentication state provider. And then actually, let's try that. May work, may not. We'll see. Okay, we'll take us to this page, not exactly the functionality I want. But it's cleaner than crashing, but... Okay, the also probe will actually just tell us if the authorization state. Let's probably do the authentication state provider. Okay, it's not picking up. If Omni Sharp died on me again, let's just make sure Omni Sharp is actually, oh, it's on the right project. Let's see. See if there's a function I can call. It's the identity. Yeah, that's checking the user identity. Is in roles. No. Context here isn't useful. So it's checking for authorization. Let's check if there's anything in here. What I want. So that's the passing tokens. Right. So if I say okay, so it's talking about using the sign-in manager. Okay. So we don't need that, but we need a... I don't think I have a sign-in manager defined. This is all talking about doing it from the JavaScript angle, which is not really what I'm doing here. Maybe if I do the okay, doesn't like it. Maybe I need to be using identity here. Okay, that's helped. Okay. So then we'll want to have a button. Just copying the other button for the moment. grab the other. Gee, what is the best way to do that? So we just want to do an on click. We want to click the button, have it do a thing. Okay, so we just do, I'll still grab the CSS classes. I don't think we need the type submit, so we just do button. Alright, and then we add a on click, and it's just an equals. It doesn't have the name context, it's fine. And then we have private void. There's just called logout. Token provider doesn't have a remove token. That's maybe something to do. But let's see if that has worked. Alright, where are we? No, it does not seem to have done the thing. So click the button. Let's see if there's any errors in the developer tools. No. Alright. Maybe I need that token reset. So let's go have a look. Where did I put that token provider? Not set. Move the access token like that. Okay. Oh, we didn't actually do the thing. Let's not what I called it, was it? Move access token. Alright. Okay, now let's give this a run. And new. We're doing this, we are calling a sign out, and then we're navigating to trying to navigate back to the base page. Okay. Now, that's not doing what I want, is it? Okay. I don't want someone else. Let's see. I have to check for the authentication state. Is that it? I'm not sure if that's it. don't think that's the one. Check more Stack Overflow. Let's also grab this blog here, see if that gives us any further information. So this again is giving us the logout page. Okay. So what are we doing here? Okay, where are we going? So again, I think we're doing some JavaScripty stuff here, which is not what we want to do. So we need to await because we're calling an async method, aren't we? Except for it's going to say that we need to be in a task. So and we say might as well take what they're doing there. So they're saying and then we'll navigate to say so it's saying, well, if it doesn't equal to null, then I don't know what the return nulls that we're going to do. Why is iAction results coming up as an error? Can I actually just do a null? Can I just do a task? I'm not actually passing anything to it, so I don't need that, and I don't need the returns. Okay. Build. Oh. Didn't like something. Cannot convert that to a message group. Can't pass like a generic to it, can I? Nah, it's gonna. Yeah, didn't think so. Alrighty. How do I do that? Back to Google. And do I do the unsync? Gonna get the delegates. And then no problem needed. Okay, let's remove that for the moment. We'll just remove that for the moment. So that should work. That should work. build. Alright, built, running. Alright, and now we hit log out and we get a whole heap of errors. Unhandled headers are read-only response already started. I wonder what it was if we remove that await. No, that didn't do it. Didn't do it. Okay. That's the Alright, cool. Well, I might take a break here and go get a drink. So, and we'll be back to work through this problem some more. Oops, that's my wrong screen there. Don't need that in there. Cool. We'll be back momentarily. Alright, and we're back. Cool, alrighty. Where were we? That's right, trying to log out. Trying to log out successfully. So we have the sign in manager, the sign out async. Do we have any other sign out? No, there's only a sign out async. Okay. So we want so we do the await, calling the logout here. So what happened when we did that again? We had some error. Alright. Nope, just was a little bit laggy. Okay. So we hit logout, and then we hit an exception where it says headers are read-only, response already started. I wonder if it has something to do with trying to update the tokens. In case those tokens are already in use. Okay. Nope. All right. So let's say, what are we looking at? So here's our server. Async, and then we post the error. Make sure we call the right thing. Alright, what's that? So this is for login, but it's giving them the same error. Force load. So we need to force reload the page. Maybe we do. Right. Nope, didn't like that. There's a sample this person is putting. Okay, we were on this page earlier. So this essentially was making a page where we could post to it okay. That's again just using a logout. It's essentially using this. But that one doesn't work. There's a login partial. Yeah, this one's a bit tricky, isn't it? Okay, so how... It's all good saying use the identity library, but how do I use it to log out? So it's saying... Alright. This is the authentication state provider, but that doesn't give us... that's doing auth claims and stuff. Okay, let's ask the question more specifically then. Maybe this is it. Let's sign out. So that's because essentially this is just saying navigate to Yep, thank you for the follow. Microsoft pages are terrible. Yeah, so sometimes they're useful, other times, yeah, it's like just doesn't want to tell you what you need to know, which is really a problem. Alright, so let's try and do identity count log out here. So we hit the button and it should navigate us to the page. Okay. Right. So we're here, we hit logout. Now it takes us to this page, which is fine, but I want to actually do that button. Okay, so you're going from networking to DevOps. Yeah, that's cool. And doing AWS. Cool. Yeah, so I'm mainly an Azure person, but DevOps is DevOps, so you can do all sorts of cloud with that. That's cool. Have you come from kind of like on-prem networking, or have you come from sorry, you just said you're transitioning to AWS, so I'm guessing you've done on-prem and that kind of physical networking. Let's go back to on-prem mostly. Cool, yeah. Yeah, I did a little bit on-prem networking for a while, mainly in kind of like a multi-story office. So yeah, I think most companies say are hybrid, so it's kind of definitely shifted that way. So I guess you would have had to play with either site-to-site VPNs or kind of express links from wherever your data center is or your servers are into the cloud. So, but it's still, networking still a very useful skill to have. I was on I work as a DevOps consultant, but I was on a gig where we were doing a transit network. Setting up Cisco remote access to DevOps contractors. Yeah, I'm not actually the biggest Cisco fan. I did a bit of it, didn't like it, happy with the cloud now where I don't have to actually do anything with Cisco at all. So I'm kind of gone to the days of having to set up routers and share configs and all that kind of stuff, and then get annoyed when one breaks and you have to go down to the physical machine and reset the config. So nowadays I'm pretty much doing a lot of CI/CD pipelines is my main thing. So setting up automation using Azure pipelines or GitHub Actions, but I'm doing a lot with Microsoft DevOps service, which I'm getting a lot of work with at the moment, trying to prove it as a concept. It's kind of having a cloud machine, but that machine is properly spec'd and has WSL enabled, so you can do Linux dev as well as Windows dev, which is really nice, and it's a lot better than most of the kind of virtual offerings. But I also do a lot of this stuff. I do kind of a bit of dev here and there. I think it's useful for DevOps people to know at least some development, have an understanding of how code is built or designed, built and deployed, because we kind of do the deployment part of it, but if we don't know how the code's being built, it can leave us with gaps. So definitely recommend people getting into DevOps try and start messing around with some programming, even if it's just Python. Doing some Python stuff is totally relevant and useful. Alright, where was I going? Log out. Log out, log out, log out. Cool. Yeah, I find that it's really useful to know about, with pipelines and stuff, how different build systems work. 'Cause sometimes when you're doing something for a lot of, say you've got a lot of devs that are working, you've got a lot of dev squads that you're working with trying to provide pipelines for them. Sometimes there's different ways that things need to be called. So let's say if you're using Java, you'll be using systems like Gradle and Maven to build, whereas if you're doing .NET, it's all encompassed in just the .NET SDK. You don't need anything extra to do that. You just do your command line, like I've been typing in my command line, was exactly what you put in your pipeline. So on post with that. Okay. And then let's just submit. To submit identity. The junior DevOps roles still totally exist. So though these days, what you might be more looking for is platform engineering. So that's kind of more the ops side of DevOps. So platform engineering is around how to set up cloud infrastructure, how to get all the pieces talking to each other, trying to write automation on how that works. So infrastructure as code. So if you get a chance, have a look at Terraform. Terraform is really good to know. It works cross cloud, so it's completely relevant to AWS. And yeah, just have a look at, if you're looking for AWS, have a look at the different services there are, try and understand the role of each service, what they do, what they provide, and then look at how do you deploy applications to those services. And they don't have to be big complicated applications. They can be as simple as a Python API and it's in a container. And that's the other thing. Look at containers. Containers is kind of bread and butter for pretty much all platform and DevOps, for where you run your code. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to do a bit of reading to try and work out what's going on with this. At the moment it works, like at the moment I get to here and I can click the log out and that's fine, and I can log back in. And that's generally fine. As I say, as I click log in, and there we go. Just took a minute. So cool. All right. Well, at least that's pretty much identity done. So let's get this up into our working application. So I'm going to fix the issue with the logout. Alright. I'm gonna push. Cool, alright, so that's now living up in the cloud. Let's clear a bunch of this stuff away. Sorry for the flash there. Yeah, so I do a mix of work from home and office. Predominantly, I work from home. At least that's my default setting. But I do try and go into the office 2 days a week. But I'm based in Australia, so we're still pretty flexible with the work from home. Some companies like you're on in. My company doesn't care as long as we're getting the work done. So yeah, it means I can chill out in my own space, and that's great. All right, so now I have my actions. I'm just refreshing my. Right, so I have my nightly build. Now, here's where I'm going to be careful. I do have some infrastructure and code in place, and that I need to check. Do I have Terraform installed locally? I don't. So normally I would actually, this would be built inside a container, which would have Terraform done. Restart my shell, cool. But today I'm running from the base machine. Yeah, it is nice to be able to have your own space, kind of, especially if you are more introverted, where you can have that kind of quiet space, and you can have your meeting, and then you turn your camera off and you can just chill. Very much get that, and it's really good to be able to kind of focus in on the work you're doing, so not have that office distraction, to be able to say, okay, I'm going to work on this problem and I'm going to be able to focus. I'm in a comfortable spot, got some good music, I've got comfortable headphones, I mean comfortable clothes. I mean, half the time I wear like sweatpants, it's fine. No one's going to know on a call. All you're going to get is this look here. So, but being comfortable and coding, I think, are two things that really mesh together, especially when you want to get to flow state. So, and you can still get to flow state as a developer doing pipelines and infrastructure as code, even design work. It's all about your focus and how comfortable you are in your kind of environment. Yeah, and sweatpants great. I mean, I've been on calls with Microsoft in sweatpants. It's great. Alrighty, so we're doing that. Okay, so I need to go check. Let's close all that. I need to go check my infrastructure as code, because I have changed the database. Now, I did the database through ClickOps, so that's by going through the Azure platform. I think platform engineering is good. That'll give you a good breadth, especially if you're coming from the networking side. That's going to be more around how do you set up the infrastructure of the cloud. And if you've already got kind of a good grasp on infrastructure, that's a good place to start. But if you do want to go straight into that DevOps, kind of tying in that mix from developers building pipelines and automation to deploy code, totally, those jobs and roles still exist everywhere, so you'd still have an equal chance to get in that. Also, if you're interested in doing anything with Kubernetes, platform engineering is kind of more towards that side with with that whole thing. So, I'm just getting a message. Oh, good. All right. So that's container registry. That's the service plan, the web app. Registry of the group. So I don't think I took all of the SQL stuff out, and that's fine. I've got. I don't need that anymore. So, oops. I think I've jumped back too many directories. I have. Alright. And now let's do a Terraform. Oop, didn't like Terraform? Why didn't you like Terraform? I thought I installed you. What's going on? Did you not add to the path? So, just going through this quickly, I'm sure. So I've done the install with Winget. I don't want to use the UI, I just want to... There. Where does Winget install Terraform? That's a good question. That's the proposal, okay. Let's find out here. Do I have? Yes, I have Chocolate Seed installed. That's alright. Let's use Chocolate Seed then rather than Winget. Winget didn't seem to do it. Just a shame. Winget's usually pretty good. Have to. Oh. I know what that's about. That is about not having administrator access. Windows. Why does Windows do that to me? It's one of the things I'm not a fan of. Okay. Well, let's try Winget with admin privileges and see if that works. It's saying it's already installed. It's working on that one. Let's get rid of the terminal. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to restart VS Code. No. Why don't you like? That's really annoying, VS Code. Alright, well. Just use this terminal then. Infra, and then guess it just wants to make me use my terminal that has a slightly different font. Cool. Alright. So what we're doing here is we're checking to see what would happen. Alright. I thought I'd removed the SQL Server, but I clearly didn't. Nope, it's hidden down here. Alright. I'm going to get rid of the SQL Server stuff because I've already got one in place. And I don't want to do that. Do a plan here. So what I might need to do is I might need to do kind of a, I think it's called Terraform export, where I'm going to take what's in the cloud already and pull that into my Terraform cloud. Alright, so it's refreshing the state. Nope, there's no changes. That's fine. Okay, so my database can live there. Now I do need to work out why the database did its thing, but that's alright. Alright, so that's fine. So let's do... where am I? Right. And push. Alright, cool. So, we should now have everything set up to work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to merge this code into my main branch, and then that's going to kick off all of my automation. So let's set that, call this. Login, log out, and registration. And with that, yeah, and that's kind of why I'm doing this, is I wanted to give more voice to people in DevOps, because a lot of time on like Twitch and live coding, you see a lot of people doing game dev, and or they're doing kind of front end work, not so much the back end work. So I think here and there you see that with some of the game, but I think it's nice to be able to see someone doing DevOps, but also doing DevOps in the way that I do it in my day-to-day job. I'd be constantly Googling things, I'd be bouncing through different ideas. Essentially, I'm not like a machine that knows everything, so I'm going to make mistakes, mess up, and have to recover from them. And I think it's important to kind of show people that that's what the day-to-day job is like. Alright, so we're going to create this pull request. So there we go, and that's saying that's fine. I haven't set up any kind of build automation on the pull requests yet. We are getting close to that point where that should be done. Cool. Alright, so I will confirm that. That's gone and deleted the branch because that's all done with. And now I've kicked off my automation, so my CI/CD pipeline. So the first thing this will go ahead and do is it's going to run that Terraform plan. Just like we did before, which said there was no changes required, because we've removed SQL stuff from it. That's acquiring the state lock. So direct qual's doing that. Alrighty. So once this is done its plan, it'll save that plan out and then move to the next step, which will be the actual apply for that plan. So I think another thing to add to my to-do list is to start to set up environments with this, but we might wait until we've moved away from the Azure App Service, which is how it's being hosted at the moment. Once we get to environments, we might move to Azure Container Apps or something like that, something a bit more robust, so that I can set up things like environments. And so, okay, here's my dev environment, here's my UAT environment, and then here's my production, and be able to start stepping through each of the environments. Alright, so Terraform apply. So if we go down to Terraform apply, it said apply is complete, so it did 0 changes, 0 added, 0 destroyed. That's good. So now we're going through and building the Docker image. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. We've set up the credentials for this to work using Azure Managed Identities. So it'll be interesting to see if running in the container in an app service, it understands the identity and is then able to log into the database so it can see the user. So I'm currently building and pushing the container up to the registry. Alright. Okay, so we're doing the final step of the Docker build, which is the publish. So it publishes that out to the final layer of the Docker image, and then gets rid of all the previous layers, so we don't have anything kind of sitting there and taking up space it doesn't need to. Cool. Now we're pushing the image to the container registry. Now, another thing to add into here is this is also where you would do things like your security scanning and stuff like that to make sure that you're not putting any dependencies in your Docker image that are creating vulnerabilities. And also, I mean, you would do your code scanning as well to make sure that your source code is all above board and you don't have any kind of bad security practices in your source code. Alright, so let's push that up. Okay, now we're at the deploy. So now we're deploying this into the Azure App Service, which effectively is we're changing the configuration to look for the latest Docker image, and then we're restarting the app. So that should then pull that new image. Okay, so still running that deploy, and then once that has restarted, we should then be able to go and refresh the page that is running off the app service, and that will then we'll be able to find out if our database connection works or if we need to do something slightly different with the database. Alright, so that should be good. Alright. So, moment of truth. So it's deployment history. Let's see if the app runs. Wow. I'm not seeing the login information. That's interesting. Could have cached, maybe just taking a minute. Here we go. Yeah. So this is also part of DevOps, is working out how to roll updates out. Like, this is a very bad way of doing it because we're literally taking the whole site down. No one can access it. Whereas what we might want to do with this kind of stuff is like a rollout or a blue-green deployment, that kind of thing, so that you're phasing your deployment, so not every instance of your website is down all at once. Just depends on how critical your website is. I mean, for this obviously it doesn't matter at all. Some of the websites, it might be like, oh, it's down for maintenance for a couple minutes, and that's not a problem. Other sites have to be up 24/7 without any downtime. That's when you need to start looking at things like how you do load balancing and stuff like that. Great, alright, we have our register login buttons. Now, this is the only problem. I've forgotten what the password was because I gave it a randomly generated password. So, give me a sec. I'm just going to drag this off and see if I can go get that from Edge. Now, I'm just looking for where that information gets stored inside of Edge. Should be under my settings somewhere. There we go. Okay, so I've got that password. Let's just paste it. Let's see if I get the right password. And this will also tell us if the database is functioning. So thinking about it. Nope, an error. Oop. And my cat would like some attention. Excuse me, I am debugging. I'm trying to debug. Do you want to help? Do you want to help? Okay. So we've got an error. And it's talking about the development mode. Okay, well that's not useful. Alright. So what we should do now is we should go and have a look at what's going on with our app. So, oh yes, I know. Now that's the deployment center logs. Alright, you can sit here. I know you're judging me. I get that. I get that. No, you're stuck. Okay, there you go. Alright. Oof. Alright. Off we go. Off we go. Alrighty. So we're trying to get the logs from Docker to see what the issue was. Okay, so I think that's just the Docker logs itself, not the actual application logs. Log stream. Okay, now that's the. Okay, that's not useful. Right. Let's go and set that variable that it's talking about then. The other thing I should do here is wire this up for application insights, which would start to give us more metrics and logging from the application itself, so I'd be able to start getting errors and stuff like that. So I think what's happening here, I think we're getting an error. While we're doing that, let's make sure I've got identity here. See what role assignments. What I might also do is add a role assignment for the app to have contributor access over the actual the resource group. because it may be a thing where it's not getting permissions onto the database server. Okay, that's the other thing also is to check permissions on here. So it's network access, that should be fine. Access control. Okay. We'll give it a few minutes. Just want to wait for this to update. Let's also try this. Okay, in that case, so what I'll have to do there is go set up a managed identity for it, which I might do in a minute, but let's see if the system assigned one will work. Doesn't appear to be working. Alright, while we're waiting for that, I'm just going to jump on another screen to create a managed identity. So I have to keep this cover off screen a bit because we are dealing with credentials, and nobody likes it when you accidentally leak credentials. I create no managed identity selected. Okay. No, not what I want. So this just could be taking a minute to sync. Still no results. Right, let's go learn more about managed identities, because I can't remember how to do this off the top of my head. So I'm going to create a managed identity. Alright, so look for managed identities, alright. So let's go. Managed identities. Alright. So let's go and make a managed identity for this. So subscription. Right, so we call it that. Okay, let's go set up that managed identity now. Alright, pass my validation, deploy, clear out some of these. Alright, so that's fine. So now if we add managed identity, maybe needs to be refreshed. Let's do this. Just give contributor access to the resource group. Should be fine. Let's also do contributor access to the database. That might also be super helpful. Actually, we might be able to do that through here. Oh, that's popped up there. Alright, before we get too much further, because I'm doing too many things at once, let's go and actually reload the website. Okay, log in. I'm pretty sure. Did I clear my page? We'll find out in a minute. No, still an error. Let's also go. So we don't want that. Okay. I think we just want contributor here. The other thing we might need to do is we might need to restart the app too. So let's give the app a restart, see if that helps with its identity as well. Okay, just okay, just clear that one out. Back to identity, check that. Still nothing there. Alright, we know that one's happened, but again we will just hold off. Okay, it's doing its restart now. Cool. Oh. Okay, let's do its thing. Alright, there we go. So, should have the identity and access we require. I'll just wait for the website to restart. Alright. And hit login. Nope. Error has occurred. Okay, so we do a check is the networking. I don't have any virtual networks or anything set up. Don't have a private access set up either. Connect to SQL database. Well, we shouldn't need to do the connection string. I think that's a bit old. That's a bit old. Here's what we're trying to do: connect to the data from .NET App Service without secrets using a managed identity. So let's try and set up that managed identity there. That's managed identity itself. Great. That's those accesses. Identity. Alright, there we go, it's found, so we can add that identity in. Alright. So, that identity should be in place. Do I need to do anything else? Grant SQL database access to the managed identity. Okay. Okay, I think that's done. Okay, so should have those permissions granted. Okay, so there we go, that's what we're going to do. Got to do some SQL statements. Alrighty. So, to the database, to the query editor, log in. Okay, so we're going to create user and I'll call it I called you this switch managed identity. Okay. I should do this just to okay. And remember that. Remember go. I can't spell. All right. Oh, already exists. Cool. Just make sure that these are all there. Cool. Alright. So that's there, that's there. User assigned there. Alright, let's go back and get that password again. Where did that go? Oh, lost the browser. Try login. Nope, failed, but that's right, we might need to do a restart. So we'll go back to the app. And we will restart. Alright, so it's starting to get towards that wrapping up point, so we will just give this a couple more shots, and then we will put together a bit of a to-do list for next week. And I think at this stage, obviously, to do is to fix the database access, make sure that we can actually connect to our DB. Then I'd like to start scaffolding in kind of the application insights so we can start to see more about what's actually going wrong. With that, there's a couple of dev container things I want to look at, but I might do that offline because they're more figuring out what the issue is. So that's accessing the database from inside the dev container. And also, I think there was one more from the dev container, pre-installing the tools. So let's go. We was unhappy there. So let's make sure I'm up to date with that. But let's look at my README, my to-do list. Let's quickly make a new badge. Okay. And all the to-do badge, we're going to put. No, we're not going to add Twitch API integration, at least not yet. I think that's a bit presumptuous of a GitHub Copilot. All right. just think what I should do here, just quickly. Rather than doing a to-do list in this way, what I should do is set up a project. Yeah, set up a project so I can properly. So we're going to create a new project. The project's name will be DevOps Stream project, and we'll do it as a board. Cool. All right, and now we will just add. So that's one. That's two. Three. Ooh. All right. Going to convert these to issues so that I can work on them. And that we can also see them in the main repo as well. So I go back to, where is my repos? This one here. So if I now go to issues, I can see these issues are open, and that'll help keep track of what's going on. And then I can close them as I come through. But then I can also see them inside of this project. But the project is not tied to the repos, so the project can manage issues over multiple repos, which we might do in the future. But for now, it'll all be linked. So let's go have a look. We started the app service. Let's go see if it'll start up. Alright, so we started up. Go for login. I think I'll just do the password again, and then we go log in. Now I reckon it's just not connecting, and it could be a container. This could be a container issue again, where the container is kind of doesn't have the context, doesn't have that identity within it. So we might actually have to switch that one over to using a connection string with a token or something like that. But yeah, we'll just have to investigate that one a bit later. But for now, I'll drop that. So what we did do today, back to main. So what we did get done today is we solved the issue of scaffolding identity into our Blazor application. So we connected to the Azure SQL DB. We used the Entity Framework core to scaffold all of the tables we needed. We added in all of the code required to do the identity logins, and to then use that identity within Blazor with the cascading authentication state. I don't know why it's giving me an error with that, but that's okay, it can do that. because you know it's working. So, and then we worked a bit on log in, log out type mechanic, like click a button to log out. Didn't quite get that working in the smoothest way, but that can be something we follow up again later. Cool. I hope everyone else has had a bit of a chill night. Thank you for the follow. That was Mirage. Thank you for that follow. So yeah, caught me right at the end of the stream. But yeah, so next time I'll be streaming next Monday definitely, unless something drastic pops up. But later this week, depending on time, I'm most likely going to do another AI tools stream. So again, playing around with GitHub Copilot Chat and also OpenAI. So I want to do a bit more learning on OpenAI, how to use embeddings to get kind of your own knowledge base into OpenAPI so that it can be used. So I'm going to keep working on that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, but apart from that, I think we're pretty good for today. So all the source code is available publicly for what I'm working on. So I'll just post this in the chat. So feel free to look through it. Feel free to kind of fork off your own version, make changes, kind of push back to the repo as well if you think there's something that I'm drastically doing wrong with the SQL stuff. Then we can definitely have a look at the PR and talk about it. I may not merge PRs in just because it's like I'm trying to get this done in a stream of finding the break and fixing it, but we'll see what the PRs involve. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool. Now, one thing. Got a couple of viewers, so what I think I might do is find someone else who's doing some dev and see if we can go raid them with some viewers. So let's go see who is available and what are they doing. Just make sure I mute that tab. Okay, don't know why my Twitch has decided it doesn't want to give me the things I want to do. There we go. Let's see, so we've got a lot of game dev people working at the moment. Try to see if anyone else is kind of doing any other coding. That's alright. Well, we might just go check. Yep, that's there. Oh, I think most people have jumped off now anyway. That's alright, I think I should find, well, I'll raid with a few people, and then I should actually curate a list of people that would be suitable to kind of raid, but I'll do that. And see everyone later. So, puts a little time down. Got to get got to learn for this. So cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and I will catch everyone later on.